Today I'm going to show you how to build a full Facebook ad library scraping system that's going to scrape the Facebook ad library of a specific advertiser or person or brand. That's going to create a generated report that looks like this. Here we have the brand name, campaign at a glance, some campaign overview, a summary that's going to be generated using AI, some key themes that are also going to be extracted using AI along with keywords, and then specific details of the data scraped from those ads. Here we have the body text. We have some details like the advertiser status, the start date, end date, the variations, and here we will even have a working link to the meta library, so you can see exactly what was scraped. And before they were doing this manually, which would take them 3 to 5 hours every single week, with this system, it only takes them a few minutes. So I'm going to show you how to build this out on N8N. I'm going to build it live so you can build it alongside with me. And I'm going to walk you step by step. So a quick system overview of how this system works. What's going to happen is we're going to start with a Google form. We're going to send basically a request to the system, just requesting that a report get made. All it needs is basically what advertiser we want to report for, just a folder name where the folders will be stored. So once we submit that Google form, the system's going to pick it up and it's going to process the data that you submitted. It's going to go into our Google Sheets where we're going to have the links of the advertisers and brands that we're monitoring. It's going to take those, it's going to process that data. Then we're going to use an Apify actor. We're going to use something called an HTTP request that's going to basically call the API of Apify, and we're going to use a Facebook ad library scraping actor that's going to scrape the heavy lifting of basically scraping all those ads and all the data that's alongside with it. Then the system's going to take that data, it's going to process it some more, and then it's going to send it out to ChatGPT. We're going to be using 5 Mini. We're going to use ChatGPT 5 Mini to basically analyze those ads, and then it's going to create an analysis, basically the executive summary. And then it's going to extract some themes and keywords. It's going to send it right back into our system. And we're going to process that data. Once we process that, we're going to generate an ad report in HTML. That's going to be fully formatted. It's going to get uploaded to a Google Drive, which will then be converted to a Google Doc. And once that whole process is complete, it's going to send an email saying that's been completed alongside the link to the folder so that it's quick and easy access. Here is just a quick overview of what we're going to be building. And as you can see here, it's pretty simple. It's linear. We're going to be using a loop that's going to loop over each advertiser that we want monitored. And as you can see here, once it's done, we're going to send an email. So without wasting any more time, start from scratch. Okay, so here you have a manual trigger, but we're actually going to be using a webhook. So we're going to go here to webhook, and we are going to do post. We're going to go ahead and we're going to leave that right there for now. And we're just going to set it right there. The next step is to set up that Google Sheet that I was talking about, where we're going to have the links to those Facebook ad pages. So let me go over here. So here I've already set up a Google Sheet. Basically what you're going to need is the brand name and the URL of the Facebook ad library. And specifically in here, this is the link to the ad page that we're going to be scraping. Now this goes directly to a page, but you can also use just a simple search. So if there wasn't an advertiser page, we were just searching, for example, you can use this link also. Basically, all you're doing is just once you search or you get the advertiser page, you're going to copy that link. But before you copy that link, you want to add one specific filter. That filter is the date filter. Now, the exact date that you add here doesn't actually matter as long as you just add this filter. I'll show you why. Once we add a date filter, it's going to update that URL that we're going to copy, and it's going to contain those dates within that URL. So let me copy that. I'm going to go over here, just paste it in so I can show you. So if you look in here, you can see the start date it has for the 9th of November, and then the end date to the 15th. So we need these things because we're going to basically change it to variables so that when our system takes these links, it can update the dates for whatever we specify within the Google form. So let me show you what I mean by that. We're just gonna basically delete that date and we're gonna replace it a with a variable. So for this case, it's gonna be end date. We're gonna just write end underscore date, and then over here for the start date, we're just gonna grab that date, delete it, and do the same thing except start date. So start underscore date. And basically for every link that you grab, so let's say I'm monitoring these 3 brands, we're gonna do that for each of them. We're gonna grab the link and then we're just gonna update those dates with these variables. You only need to do this once, and then once it's done, you never have to look at this again or never have to deal with it. So I've already gone ahead and done that, and now I'm gonna just delete this. So once that's done, the next thing we're going to do is go on to the Google Forms, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here we have a request data report form. I've already built it out, but basically it's super simple. Right here, I'm just going to select which reports you want generated. So say, okay, we want skincare, or if you want the clothing, then you would click that. The start date, the end date of the time frame that we want specifically, and the folder name. You can put whatever folder name that you want to save it under. And then the email, this will be, again, the email that we are going to send the reports to, or specifically the folder to. So once you create your own Google form, you have one other step that you have to do. You're going to click the menu up here, and you're going to go to App Script. Now, the reason why we have to go to App Script is because we need this form, to call out to our webhook. So I mentioned webhook earlier in the N8N workflow. Specifically, what we need for the webhook, what a webhook is basically, you could think of it as like an antenna. Basically, it's an antenna that's always monitoring, waiting to catch a signal. And here, what we want is every time somebody submits a form, we want that form data to get sent to our N8N workflow. So we use webhooks as basically an antenna. And here in this scripts page, we can configure it so that every time a user submits a form, it gets triggered and it gets sent over to that antenna, and our antenna will pick it up and then process that data. So here, you don't need to know actually how to code or how to build this. I built this using ChatGPT. I personally do know how to code a bit, but I used ChatGPT to create this, and the prompt was super simple. It was something along the lines of generate a trigger for a Google form in the Google app script that will send the data over to my webhook in N8N. So it went ahead and did that. It created this for me. And here, as you can see here, this is the webhook URL. We're going to go back into N8N and grab the URL that we need. So over here in that webhook trigger, you're going to see that we're going to go to production URL, and we're going to click it to copy. And now we're going to go back into the form, or to the script area, and we're just going to update this URL. Perfect. And if you look over here, just under what's going to say payload, just so you understand a little bit of how this works, here we have things like the questionnaires that we have in our form. So select which reports you want generated, folder name, enter your email, start date, end date. This is how we're grabbing that data. We're using this to grab that data, and then it's going to send it over to our N8N workflow. So now that that's done, we're going to just do one more other thing. We're going to go over here to triggers, and we're going to add a trigger. So add trigger. We're going to do on form to submit, choose which deployment should run, head, select event source from form, and then select event type. We're going to change it to on form submit. You don't need to worry about this, just click save. Perfect. Now this is ready to go. I'm just going to go back over here to this, and I am going to just make sure it's saved. Save project, make sure it's saved, and now it's ready to go. So basically, we could go back over into our Google form. We are going to copy that link, And I'm going to submit an example form so that we can receive that data and then we can work with it in our workflow. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to add it in here. But before I submit this form, we're just going to make sure that this is actually turned on. So right now it's inactive. We're going to activate it. Perfect. So now it's working. The antenna is up and it's waiting to collect the signal. So now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click skincare. Yeah, like I said, if you wanted multiple, then you could also click clothing. But in this case, I want just, we're only going to work with one, skincare. We're going to use a start date. Let's just say from 9th to today, 15th. And then we're gonna do folder name. I'm gonna do skincare group. And then my email. I'm gonna send this to myself. Now, when I click submit, if everything works properly, we should get it. It says, okay, here we go. So as you can see here, we received that data. So you'll be able to see, okay, we got skincare, the name, skincare group, the email, start date, end date. We're gonna go to JSON. I'm gonna copy that data, and then I'm gonna pin it over here just so that we have something to work with. So we got that. Okay. Now the next step is I'm gonna add a set fields node. Basically, this will this just helps me stay organized and make sure that we're working with the correct data. As soon as we get it, I just like to do this. This is more of a habit of mine. I'm going to just basically bring in the sheet title, the name, email, start date, end date. Okay, that's it. So now we get that. Now we only have the data that we care about. These are the only things that we need, and these are the only things that I care about right here. So now we're gonna go over into, we're gonna create a folder in the Google Drive. Now this will be the folder that we are going to, this will be the folder where we will save the reports that we generate under. And first we're gonna go to the parent drive and I'm gonna put this into, let's see, Facebook. Should be something. FB at library scripts. I'm gonna save it under this main parent folder right here. The folder name is gonna be the name that we declared in the Google form. I'm just gonna pull that, paste it there, create. That should be all. So when I execute step, it should succeed. Perfect. Here, I'm gonna pin it. So basically, just something you should know if you're new to N8N. Pinning data is really great when testing because then it allows you to basically execute several times without having to worry about actually completing a step several times. So what I mean by that is, for example, here, I've already created the folder, but if I were to execute again, that whole step went through again, but I didn't actually create the folder again. It just used the data that we pinned, and that's what I outputted. So I actually didn't go into the Google Drive and create another folder called skincare group. So we could do this several times. And this is just a way to be more organized and stay safe without, doing things over and over and over again. So the next step would be to I think we're going to go ahead and get the rows from that Google Sheet. So we're going to go over here to Sheets. And we're going to get rows. And here, we should go to the edit fields. And here we got the sheet title skincare. So we're going to, this is the main sheet, the spreadsheet that I have. And we're going to go by name and skincare. Perfect. So now, just one note, in that Google form, I have it written as skincare. Make sure that you have this saved or written as the same name as the sheet that you have over here, skincare. So for example, if I had it in the form over here, skincare group or skincare brands, right? If that's what I had written here, we would receive that into our workflow, that's the data that we receive. And so then when you try to, let's go again. When you try to pull that in, you would see skincare brands, and here it would pop up skincare brands instead of skincare. And then when we try to get the rows in here, for example, if I put skincare brands, and I try to do it, it's going to say it doesn't exist. So just make sure that it's saved under the same name that you have written in the Google Sheets. And as you can see here, we got our 3 items. So U Beauty Skincare, Plant Health, Full Drop. Okay. So the next step is to update those URLs. So basically right now we have those URLs, except they have the variables within them. We want to update those variables with the dates that we specified from that Google form, the start date, end date. Although there's actually there's another way you could do it. But for now, I'm just going to use a code node. And here, what a code node is, if you're not familiar with them, it's basically a node that allows you to write in your own code. Again, I know how to write code, but I don't like spending time writing code, so I just use ChatGPT again to create me a function that's going to update these URLs with those dates that we specified. And let's see. Before we could do that, I actually need to add another set fields, and I'll explain why. So I need to add this in again because I want to bring in some more data. Outside of these 3 columns, I want to also bring in the start date and end date. So now when I execute step, as you can see here, it comes along. We have the start date and end date attached to each item, which is good. So we're just going to call this update data. Now, when we add the code into here, it has everything that it needs. So for the code that I'll be using, like I said, I already generated some code using ChatGPT. And I'm going to show you here so you can copy it for yourself, or you can prompt ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you like to use to build out your code. Here, basically what's happening is that we're updating the Facebook ad library zeros with the dates, and it's going to take in that data from the previous node, that set fields node. It's going to take in this data and it's going to update each URL with the start date and end date. So if I execute step, perfect. Do you see here? It says 2025 11/09 start, and the end date will be 2025 11/15. So now we have that all fixed up. We can move on to the next item. The next item would be to do loop. We're basically going to loop over each item that we get and send it to the Apify actor to scrape. And then once that whole process is finished, we're going to loop it over again and proceed with the next item, next item, next item. So here, I'm going to just basically add in set fields because, again, I'll explain why I'm adding so many set fields nodes, but the real reason is simple. Back in the day, well, actually, it's already been longer, but back when I was first starting out with N8N, I would basically, every time I wanted to get data from like the loop over items specifically or previous nodes, I would find that I would get several errors. And I don't know if that was a bug back in the day or if that's been fixed now. But I've noticed that when you get several items in here, so basically what loop over items has, it has 3 items in there and it's waiting. Anytime I try to reference the data that's within there, it sometimes doesn't know which item to use. So it's become a habit of mine to add a set fields node after the loop over items every single time, just so that I declare which item I have and it's saved in here for the loop so that we have something to reference. Again, there's nothing special is going to happen here. I'm just going to basically drag and drop everything that we have here is perfect. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to, oh, well, actually, the next thing we're going to go ahead and call that Apify actor. I'm going to show you how this works. So HTTP request, we're basically calling the API. And what we're going to do is get method and URL. If you are new, what it will look like for the first time you're going to get to a page like here, you're going to create an account. Basically, what Apify is that it basically has a bunch of different actors. All these different actors are a bunch of different scrapers and other things that will go and get web data. So, for example, we have a TikTok scraper, we have a Google Maps scraper, Instagram scraper, Facebook post scraper, a ton of different scrapers. This is a really useful tool, and it's free. Yeah, I think your first $5 is free, but then afterwards you need to sign up for a plan. But basically, once you create an account, you're gonna go to console, and as you can see here, I have a bunch of different Apify actors going. But here, when you first come in here, it's gonna be empty. So what you will do is you will go to the Apify store, and you're gonna search for a Facebook ad library scraper. So you can see there's a bunch of different ones here. This one, I think, this one's pretty good. It's cheap, only 75 cents per thousand, and it's pretty fast too. I used to use this one. The only problem that I had with this one is that some of these scrapers are created just by other people, and it's up to them and their team to basically update these scrapers every time there's a problem or every time there's a change in the code. It's up to them to fix any errors or any bugs that there is. I personally was trying to create a system for my own client, and when I used this one, I ended up running into an error. And for some reason, they were just having issues in those days. I think maybe we could still see it here, reviews. So it was like 20-ish days ago, but as you can see here, people were saying it wasn't working. And like I said, just because of those couple days that it wasn't working, I couldn't really rely on it because it wasn't reliable. So what I like to use is this other one, Facebook Ad Scraper. It's built by Apify, as you can see here, and it's $5 for 1,000 campaigns. So it is considerably more expensive, but I find it to be much more reliable because it's maintained by Apify. And so, you can really rely on it a lot more than say other ones. So here, what you're gonna see here is there's a lot going on, but don't worry. All you need to worry about is just go here to API. We're gonna click on API endpoints, and we're going to do basically run actor. So I want to, you can see up here, it says API token. We will already have a default API token. For this case, I'm gonna use a demo token for YouTube that I have here. I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna go over here back into workflow, and I'm going to paste it right there. So all that does is basically I'm calling that specific actor. We're gonna go over here, click send body, and I'm gonna do using JSON, and we're gonna go back into Apify. Click out of here, and here I'm gonna click on JSON, and I'm gonna copy what's in here. I'm gonna copy it, then I'm going to paste it. Now there's some things in here that we don't need, like results limits. We don't need this. Z paths, true, active status, active. We don't need this one either. And start URLs, URL. We just need one. And here we're gonna change this. We're gonna delete this. And we're gonna replace it with this URL. So then every item that we get is going to, every time we get a new item, that URL is gonna go in here, and we're gonna basically scrape that page. So you can see here, URL, this is the page that's gonna get scraped. And I think that's it. Oh, actually, I made a mistake. We're gonna change this URL. We're gonna go back up here to API endpoints. Rather than run actor, what we're gonna run is run actor synchronously and get dataset items. So here we're gonna copy this. The reason for that is because this first one up here, run actor, what it's gonna do is just gonna basically we're gonna send a call to it, and we're gonna tell it, hey, please scrape this web page, and then it's gonna say, okay, cool, and that's all we're gonna get back. It's just gonna literally say, okay, cool. And it's gonna give us some data saying, give us the ID of the data of the it's gonna give us like the ID of the run and some other things, but it's not gonna bring us back the data. So then on our end, we would have to create like a polling system that's basically calling back to that actor saying, hey, is that data ready? And if it's not ready, it would say running. And once it's ready, it would say succeeded. Once it says succeeded, then we would have to pass, then we would have to add some logic to then go and get that data, and then we could continue along the process. With this one over here, we have run actor synchronously and get data set items. So basically, it's gonna run the actor and it's gonna sit there waiting. It's just gonna be going around and around. It's gonna wait until it finishes scraping, and then it's gonna go ahead and send us the data back automatically, so that we don't have to create that polling system, and we don't have to add any more complexity. So I'm going to copy this one, just run actor synchronously, and get data set items. And we are going to go to over here. We're going to change it, and boom, done. So now we're going to run it. Let's see if it runs successfully. Okay, so now it's finished. As you can see here, it brought back 137 items. So perfect. We can look at here, table, page info. And here we can see snapshot, and you can look at it all right here. This is basically all the data that it extracted from each ad, and you can just basically go through it all and just look at it. The next thing that we're going to do is basically clean the data. So we're going to add another code node that's going to clean this data, because as you can see, there's a lot going on here. We don't need all this. We just need a few things. So I'm going to add a code node that's going to clean data. Again, that's going to be using code generated by ChatGPT, and I already have it saved here. So clean data. I'm going to select that. Go over here. We're going to command B that. And I'm going to open it up so you can look at it. So again, this is all generated using ChatGPT. Quite a lot going on. So you can imagine, like, if I was just trying to write this out on my own, then it would just be too much. And again, the simple prompt that I would use was something along the lines of create JavaScript code for an N8N workflow to go into a code node that will clean the data that it will receive and just output several other items. Those items would be, if we execute, or shoot, damn it. Okay, so I don't want to wait for this to run again. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to executions. I go to this one. And what I should have done is I should have just pinned the data, so that way we don't run it again. So I'm going to just go over here to the executions where it's saved. And I'm going to copy that same data, and then I'm going to pin it in here. So now it's saved. So now when I run it again, watch. We're not going to wait through that, and we're going to get it. We're going to receive this out. So here we should see. Okay, so here, as you can see, it basically cleaned all this up, and all the data that we're getting, that it outputs, is the ad data. And it has it all labeled, and it organizes it so that we're not looking at all this, right? All this complexity. It just makes it a lot more cleaner and more organized. So the next step after that is we're gonna just label the data. So we're gonna pull in, again, I'm gonna use the set fields. I probably use this node more than anything else. I'm going to put the data here, and then I'm gonna go to edit fields. I'm gonna add in the other data, the row number, URL, the body, and as you can tell, it's pulling up all red. So this is like one of the problems that I told you about. Let's start min max. We don't need. We just need this one. The body. Yeah, we don't need the body either, actually. So we just need those three. Okay. So like I said, the problem in here is that it's put up red because it can't determine which item to use, which honestly I don't know why it pops that up. But the one thing about it is that because we already labeled it here and it's labeled using the only one item that we received, one little trick you could do is when you go into here, you can, instead of item, we're gonna write last. And basically, what it's saying is grab the last item. Now, we're only doing one item at a time, so the last item is uh this one, right? Is the one that we're on right now. So, and honestly, I don't get this error all the time. So it could be a little bit finicky like this. So it's really on case by case basis. But there's also more documentation on other people struggling with this, and you can see some other solutions that other people have worked out just by Googling and looking at the community pages that N8N has. So now that that's done, you're gonna see this come out successfully. Perfect. So now as you can see here, we have the advertiser, the URL, the row number that we're working on, and all the data. So the next step is we've labeled the data. Now we're going to go into our AI agent. At this point, we're going to use ChatGPT to basically extract the keywords, the themes, and create the executive summary. So here, I'm going to go over here to define below, and I'm going to add a system message. I already have that system message saved, and you guys can look at it for yourselves. Super simple message. You can make it a bit more complex and more detailed, specific for whatever your use case is. But for right now, this is pretty simple for me. You're an analyst. You will receive a bundle of ad headlines / text lines for a single advertiser and for messaging themes, keywords, and executive summary. As you can see here, themes, 2 to 4 themes, and the schema that we want outputted. The reason why we want a specific schema to get outputted is because it makes it really simple for us to basically drag and drop that data. So I'll show you what that looks like. So system message, I'm going to paste it. That's for the prompt. It will just simply be the data. And we are going to require a specific output. That output parser is going to be basically this schema. I'm going to go over here. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to tell ChatGPT, hey, it needs to be outputted exactly like this. And it's going to take it and it's going to say, okay. But sometimes it can mess up on that and not do it as we would expect. So then one way we can fix it is just to retry and fail, and up to 3 times. You could change it up to 5, 10 times, or 9 times, but 3 should be enough. And when it doesn't output in that specific format that we declared, it's going to fail. So with that, now when it fails, we're going to try again. And on the second time, it always works out. So chat model, we're going to use OpenAI. We're going to be using 5 mini. Okay, so now we have that 5 mini. We are going to run it just to see how it works. So now it's done. It took a minute because there was a bunch of ads that I had to look through. So, but now that it's done, as you can see here, we have themes. We have the name of the theme. It has even evidence. Okay, so that's nice. Oh, and there's also the keywords, and over here, the executive summary that we have there. So again, you can mess around with it with the prompt and just specify exactly how you want it done or what you want changed, and then just update the JSON parser specifically for however which way you need. But one thing that I didn't mention is that because we use that JSON parser, this is the reason that we got the output like this. So now we can basically drag and drop each of these things, and it just simplifies the whole process. So again, we're gonna use another labeling. We're gonna set fields, and now this is gonna prep the data for the final, for at least one of the final things, prep data. Here, example, we could just copy this whole thing, and yeah, we'll just copy it. I'm gonna just call it AI, and we also will. Okay, yeah. We're gonna use label data actually, label data 2. I'm gonna grab that, and we're just gonna grab some more data like advertiser and brand, row number, the URL, and just that. What we're gonna do with that data is we're gonna get another code node. That code node is gonna create the quick metrics. So basically, how many ads are running, the start dates, just some other data that we're gonna use just as quick overview metrics as you saw at the beginning of the report. I can show you right here. So example, right, 107 total ads, campaign period, most common phrase, and just some other data that we can look at. So here, I'm gonna go over here to code node again. I'm gonna label it quick metrics, and then I'm gonna go over here to the code that I copied. Let's see, where is it? Quick metrics, oh, this one. I'm gonna paste it into here. Again, generated by ChatGPT. Perfect. So we have all of this. Strange, I think we don't use this function. But yeah, as it says here, helper function, currently unused but kept for compatibility. So one thing that you might want to do with ChatGPT or wherever you prompt, is just make sure that it annotates the code well, so that way you can basically go in here and you can read exactly what each thing is doing, right? Over here is helper function to find the most common phrases. And over here we have just some preferences, collect all ads, whatever. And basically, when it annotates the data, it just makes it easier for you to read through it and just understand what each thing is doing. So now when we execute this step, we get all the previous data back, right? But what we also get is, if this will work, what we also get is a campaign at a glance. So we get total ads, the active ads versus inactive ads. If we were searching also for inactive ads, then this would pop up in here. The creative variants and ads with previews, the date range. So the earliest was actually October 14th. Basically, what that means is even though we were checking for the timeline between right the 9th to the 15th, this date range says, well, the earliest ad that was running during that time frame started on October 14th, and the latest one that ended was November 14th. So there we go. So that's just useful data for us. The next code node, this will be the last code node, I swear. At least I think. This is the HTML formatter. Now, the reason that I like to create HTML is just because it can be really easily converted to whatever else that we need. This same HTML file will get converted and uploaded to the Google Drive, which will then get converted to a Google Doc. And so it's going to appear as the way that you saw it. And it's going to have all that formatting of the coloring and the different sections and tables and everything. So it's just a really easy way to do that. You can design your own HTML template using other AI like V0, or I think even I think it's Vercel, or you could also just use like Cloud or ChatGPT to design HTML, and then Again, I use ChatGPT to not only design the HTML, but to also write the code to take in this data and create a full file that then can get uploaded. And one note that you need to make sure is that when you're prompting it, it needs to create a binary file. So what I mean by that is by creating a binary file, it actually creates a file that's downloadable, and we need a physical file to upload into that Google Drive. So here, when I get this, I'm going to paste it in here. As you can see here, N8N code now generate HTML ads report as binary file. What this is going to do, let me just make sure I have everything. What this is going to do is it's going to create a actual file that can get downloaded. So this file can get downloaded, and it's because it's a downloadable file, it's a real file, we can then upload it to the Google Drive. So the next step here is the Google Drive. We're going to upload it to that folder that we just created at the beginning of the workflow, upload file. And we are going to, it's going to ask input data field name. It's going to be data, as it says right there. Upload. The file name will be the one, I think it's at the beginning over here, right? Yeah. The create folder. Yeah, it's going to be my drive by ID. I think we could do by ID. Let's see, look at this. Yeah, so you're going to see here, we're going to see create folder. You're going to grab the ID and put it in there. We're going to change that to expression. Again, because we're only doing once, we're creating one folder. We could just do last. And then you'll see that there. Now, okay, so as you can see, we keep getting that error, right? One other way to avoid that error that I've avoided it in like larger systems is to basically make sure that all the data they're going to be needing, 10, 20 nodes down the line, make sure it gets attached downstream. One way to attach downstream is through these set fields, right? That's why I use them, is because that's one way for me to continue to attach data and process it downline. So write, for example, the raw number or the URL or the advertiser brand, that the same data that we process from the Google Sheet, the same data that we extracted from the Google Sheet, because I kept adding it to the set fields and I kept adding it, I've been able to keep it downstream. And so if we were to reference that, I wouldn't run into that problem. That's just one way to do it. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but that's the way that I'm currently working alongside that problem. Outside of just writing instead of item, I change it to last. And you can also change it to first. Let's see. First. Yeah, it would do the same thing. And the reason why it's the same thing is because we're only dealing with one item. And so that one item, we can easily go around that issue with last. And just make sure you write last and the parentheses signs. So now I can execute step. There we go. It got uploaded successfully. And now we can be finished with this. So there's only 2 more nodes that we need outside of that. And we're going to go into the done loop. We're going to go over here and look for aggregate. And we're going to aggregate all items. So in this example, right, we're processing 3 items, right? 3 different brands. Once the loop is done, it's going to output 3 items again, the 3 brands. And here, if I were to add the Gmail node, right, the Gmail to send a message to that email that we want to get the links to, because we're getting 3 items, what's going to happen, it's going to send those 3 items to this Gmail, and basically what it does, the way it behaves, it's actually going to send 3 emails. Even though the emails are going to be exactly the same, because there's 3 items, that means there's 3 instances, 3 things to execute, 3 times that we need to execute. So in order to avoid that, I use the aggregate node so that once we get those items, we just, instead of having 3 separate items, we're just going to combine it into one. Another way you could do it is just to, you could add like a limit node, which would just limit to one. That's just one way to basically avoid the problem of sending too many things, right? Like again, if we get 3 items, we don't want to send 3 emails. We just want to send one email with the folder and link. So aggregate works, or you can also use, like I said, the limit node. You could limit that just to one and fix that. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to 2. I'm going to get that email that we processed. So let's go to edit fields, this one. Here we go. We got the email. 2, and subject will be add ads report completed successfully. The email type, I'm just going to do, I think, text. And here, I'm just going to write in, I think I already have a prompt for the email. No, maybe not. That's just going to be something super simple. I think like this. So here I have completed successfully. Your computer valve report request has been completed successfully, and the folder name that they declared. Let's see, fields name. We're gonna say it has been uploaded to the Google Drive. Here's a link to the folder. I'm going to say, and I'm going to execute the workflow. So once this is completed, you'll be able to see that that all 3 reports will get generated, and they're gonna turn into HTML files, uploaded to the Google Drive. From there, you can click on them to convert to Google Docs, and you can look at them over. And yeah, they're pretty simple to do. It's pretty easy. And now this whole system will run through and basically go through all those ads and all those different pages that you want. And it's gonna create these reports that are gonna get organized and stored in that folder in the Google Drive, which will then get emailed to you, so you have a link to it. I'm going to show you just quickly like one other folder. Well, once I do that, then you're pretty much done. You can rewatch this video for any missteps, or you can comment in the section. Let me know exactly what I missed or what I need should be explaining better. And yeah, so thank you for watching the video. I'm going to show you real quick what another report looks like. And that will be all for today. Here's one of the other brands that we have. So we have Plain Table, Campaign at a Glance, much less ads, only 24 and 59 different variants. And as you can see here, there's just some other metrics. We have an executive summary, themes, clinical science backed anti-aging. As you can see here, advanced 0.1% retinol for clinically proven results, and then clinically crafted elevated retinal shot booster. I recognize that it was clinical and science backed, and targeted skin concerns, visible benefits, minimize the looks of wrinkles, refine the pores, and improve overall texture. Different keywords: 0.8% retinol, 8-shot delivery system, retinal booster, cell turnover support, and then the different ads. There's just one other thing that I wanted to know, is that in the email we have here that says this email was sent automatically with N8N, and then it has that. In order to get rid of that, you're gonna want to go over here to the Gmail node, and basically we're gonna have to turn that off. So we're gonna go over here and to append N8N attribution. You're gonna want to click that, and you're gonna want to turn it off. It automatically comes with it turned on, toggled on. So if you ever are doing this for your client or for anybody else, just make sure you have that turned off, and that way you won't this part won't come along with it. And so yeah, again, thank you for watching the video. Comment in the comment section anything that I missed, or if you need me to give you any help, just let me know. All right, thank you.